Welcome back to another episode of Ask Melissa Fit. Now, if any of you grew up in the 80s, you'll remember with fondness the movie The Goonies. And what did we love the most about The Goonies? It's got to be Chunk, and especially his legendary truffle shuffle. If you don't know what I'm talking about, Google it. And if for some reason you haven't seen it, forget me now and go and watch it. Now, we all love Chunk, but I doubt any of you are wishing you had his belly so you could pull out the truffle shuffle at parties. No, but growing up in the 80s means we are hitting middle age, and with middle age comes the dreaded spread. And the spread can lead to obesity or being overweight, which in turn leads to health problems. In fact, did you know that approximately 1,000 people die of obesity-related health issues every week? A lot, hey? But more importantly, this is all preventable. So this week's Ask Melissa is all about obesity. Now, how do you know if you're overweight or obese, you ask? And one thing to point out before we move on is that we all think about this guy when we say the word obesity. But the actual definition is abnormal or excessive fat accumulation that may impair health. So if you work out your numbers and they say you're obese, please bear in mind that it doesn't mean you're destined to spend the rest of your life on the sofa eating KFC out of a bucket. So here's how you can find out your numbers, and you will need some scales or a measuring tape and maybe a calculator. So firstly, let's take BMI, body mass index. It couldn't be easier. You measure your height and weight, and then you divide your weight in kilograms by the square of your height in meters. If your answer is greater than or equal to 25, you're in the overweight category. If it's greater than or equal to 30, you're in the obese category. Now, this works for most of the population, but another great way to measure and keep track of your health, and my personal favourite, is by simply measuring your waistline. Carrying too much weight around your middle increases your risk of heart disease, high blood pressure and diabetes. It's not your trouser line you'll measure. Use your belly button as a guide and measure here. Guys, if your measurement is more than 94 centimetres, you're at a high risk of health problems. Lady, yours is 80. Edging up to 102 or more, guys, very high risk. Ladies, more than 88 centimetres and you're in danger. Don't panic just yet though, you're not alone. If your numbers are on the high side, in fact, 39% of adults aged 18 years and over were categorised overweight in 2014, and 13% were obese. So what are we going to do about it? Well, I've already told you that it's totally preventable, curable in fact. But one thing is 100% for sure, it is really, 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 really important that you do something about it, because for every inch, 2.5 centimetres, increase in waist size, blood pressure increases by 10%, blood cholesterol increases by 8%, HDL, the good cholesterol, decreases by 15%, metabolic syndrome risk increases by 18%. That's a combination of diabetes, high blood pressure and obesity. Having all three puts you at a greater risk of heart disease, stroke and other conditions affecting blood vessels. And it's important to watch your children too. Childhood obesity is on the increase and is associated with a higher chance of obesity, premature death and disability in adulthood. But in addition to increased future risks, obese children experience breathing difficulties, hypertension, early markers of cardiovascular disease, insulin resistance and psychological effects. It's not good. But you know what? It couldn't be simpler to reverse all of this and avoid these risks altogether. Making healthier food choices and taking regular physical activity are the easiest ways to prevent obesity, neither of which are inaccessible to any of us or unaffordable. We simply need to limit energy intake from total fats and sugars, increase our consumption of fruit and vegetables as well as legumes, whole grains and nuts, and engage in regular physical activity. That's 60 minutes a day for children and 150 minutes per week for adults. Exercise is not only a key component to weight loss, but also in maintaining a healthy weight. It enhances your daily calorie expenditure. Strength training specifically can minimise the loss of lean body mass, and exercise makes the body more efficient at fat burning. So go and get to it. Don't be a chunk, be a hunk and live a longer, healthier life. Leave any comments or questions below and I'll see you next week.